Greetings and welcome to this episode of the Heal and Restore podcast with your host and hostess with the mostest,
That's right.
Cathy and Randy.
Hey, I got the mostest this time.
Well, yeah, I mean, I got to be kind once in a while to you,
Yeah.
you know.
It's always nice and you're kind, but you're kind most of the time, so I don't complain.
Okay. I hope not.
No.
You're stuck with me.
I
You've
know.
been with me for 40 years, so
I know, and it's okay.
Okay.
I'll stay.
you will.
I will.
Well, the only reason you want to stay is because you don't want to have to train anybody else.
That is not true, but true. That's a project right there. It's taken me 40 years to get where we are, so we'll stay where we are.
Vice versa, too.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
So what do we got going this month?
So this is the month of July.
Yes, it's my favorite month.
Why is it your favorite month, Cathy?
Well, there's something that happened in the month of July.
And what might that be?
Gosh, somebody's birthday.
Oh, whose might that be?
Oh, just somebody that I'm really close to.
Who might that be?
Oh, it's just somebody you know her too.
I know her too.
Yeah, you do.
Initial CV.
Yeah. That's me.
And that's when July 25th, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, July
Yes,
25th.
absolutely. So
And actually, you have your birthday all year long, you know, if you could.
I could, but I at least take the month of
All right,
July.
enough about you. Let's get into the book. It's a month of July, and we're going to continue this month talking about personal development.
Yeah.
Last week we talked about leadership in the home.
Yeah, it was good.
So
I
it was
enjoyed
good.
that.
Yeah. And then this week we're going to talk about probably one of the most important things, whether you have kids in the house or it's just you and your fiance, you and your girlfriend, or you and your spouse, and that is communication.
Yeah.
Right. And there is a statistic out there that the percentage of divorces due to poor communication is at 98%.
That's awful high. That's very, very high. So we're
pretty
gonna do
high,
our
right.
part.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Help. That's one of the things, just being totally transparent, we struggled with for a long time, and we can at times. But,
Yeah.
the learning how to have effective communication in your home, not only is it beneficial to you and I, or the adults in the home, but we're teaching our children, and that's what's key. So we'll get
Right.
into that, I know, in
Yeah.
this episode.
Yeah.
But it starts at the top and it trickles on down.
Right,
Yeah, so we
exactly.
got to do that. But before we jump into it, I want to talk about a couple things. One is we always invite you to join or check out our website, healandrestorecounseling.com. We do offer a no-cost 45-minute coaching consultation. If you're struggling in communication, if you're struggling in your relationship, whether you're married or not, it doesn't matter. We're here to help you.
Unresolved childhood trauma,
Yeah,
addiction.
absolutely. So you can go to our website, healandrestorecounseling.com. You can sign up, it'll send your message to us, and we'll contact you to set up that no-cost 45-minute coaching consultation. So that is available to you. And we also want to just let you know that we have our second book out.
Yes.
It's called Renewing Bonds. It's 7 Steps to Restoring Your Relationship. And this follows up from our original book, our first book, How to Heal and Restore Your Marriage. So both books are available on Amazon in both paperback and Kindle. So feel free to visit that and pick up your book. These are always just little helpful tools, and these tools are so key to growing and redirecting relationships.
Right. And even if you say your relationship is good, we're not going to doubt that, but we can always use a little help in different areas of our life and our relationship.
And you might find some of these tools even helpful in relationships with people around you at work.
Absolutely. Yes.
You might be with your children,
Yes.
Your significant other. There's just, when we're in relationship, it's not just one person.
All right.
And so I think both these books are beneficial to help you and give you some tools and skills to hone in on to better relationships in general.
Absolutely.
So that's good.
And then our third book will be out probably, I would say, in no more than 30 days. It's written. I just got to get everything finalized.
We'll talk about the book coming out.
Later. But I just want to put that out there too.
No, not a problem. So today we're going to talk about effective communication in the home. So why don't you start us off there, honey?
Well, communication in the home can be, actually, it is important for many reasons. It's including the family members to express their needs and concerns and to show love and admiration for each other. It can help care. It can help care recipients, I don't know what I wrote. Let me start over. It can also help care recipients feel at ease knowing that their needs are being understood. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Now, we got some tips and strategies to enhance to enhance some communication within the family.
Yeah, so effective family communication is key. And like I said at the beginning, we're not only learning to communicate with each other as adults, but teaching our children as well. So, effective family communication helps provide structure for conversations, and
Yes.
that structure goes within the entire dynamic of your home. So it's really
Exactly.
important
Right.
to have that.
Exactly.
And one of the ways that you can start that is by turning off distractions to avoid interruptions.
Yeah. Turn off your phone, or put your phone away.
Yeah, TVs,
TV, computers.
music, even, just
Yeah.
music in the background. It's nothing for me to start singing a tune in
Well,
the middle of a
if you're gonna have
conversation.
music, have some nice, soft, like small music or something in
Yeah,
the
something that
background.
doesn't
Right,
gonna
exactly. And make it a real quiet place and a serene place for the whole family so they feel safe.
yeah. And this one I think that's really important
Oh,
is picking the right time.
absolutely.
I mean, I would say that that's probably where one of our bigger struggles was, is we tried to communicate at the wrong time.
Exactly.
We have to honor the environment of the home. We have to environment the individuals in the home. If you're, struggling, if you're not feeling well, I mean, if you're sick and not feeling well, that's probably not the best time. If you're just getting home from work and you've had a busy day or you've had a long commute, it's probably not the best time to do that. So
No.
picking the right time is going to be key in having a
Mm.
healthy communication.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's times when we got to communicate right in the moment,
Mhm.
but even at the end, it might be, hey, it's time to take a break and let's just walk away and come back when both of us or especially between the spouse and
Yeah,
in the two and their boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, we got to make sure that we're in that conversation without carrying a lot of weight from the day.
right. And I think one thing that has helped me, and I know it's helped you because you kind of lean me towards this, is if I want to have a conversation, I'll just mention to you, hey, I'd like to sit down and
Yeah.
have a conversation when
Yeah.
you get a moment.
Yes.
So it gives you that time to be prepared for
Right.
that conversation because I can do 500 things at once and still have a conversation. I know you can't. So I have to get your full attention because if you're busy on the computer or doing something and I want to have a conversation, I'm not getting all of you.
No, you're not.
And so, some people can multitask and have conversations, not always the best, but others people can't. So
It-
honor that situation.
And it's better not to try to
No,
multifunction when you're having
absolutely.
these kind of
Yeah,
conversations, right?
definitely. The other one I like is being able to pay attention and listen actively.
That's a key.
Talk about listen actively because I think that's one thing that
Well,
we think that, we're listening, but what does active listening look like?
well, first of all, the most important part of communication is not talking,
Mhm.
right? I
Yeah.
mean,
And what is it?
it's listening.
Yeah.
But it's not just listening, it's listening to hear what
Mhm.
the person's saying, listening to understand what the person's saying, right? And listening to what we say, listen with curious questions. So when it's your turn to speak, you can ask curious
And you're
questions.
adding to the dialogue.
We're adding to the
Yeah,
dialogue.
so
We
good.
want it that way we can make sure we understand what the other person is saying,
Mhm.
right? And we're also looking at listening to voice deflection, body language, facial expressions, all that
Mhm.
when we're talking with our spouse or even with our children,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And we want to try to teach them that to look up because we're not in no way wanting to shame our partner or our children,
Mhm.
right? And so we want them to make sure they look up and they look us in the eye because there's no shame involved in healthy conversation.
Right. No, absolutely. The other one that's really important is planning ahead and being concise. Thinking of putting your thoughts in your mind.
Yes.
Don't just, I've done this, I've just like rattled off something and then it takes me all the way out to left field and that's not even the conversation I intended to
Right,
have.
right.
So, plan ahead, be concise, think thoroughly about what your conversation is going to be about.
Something that might help too is I think we might get into this a little bit deeper is that, you know, have family meetings if that's what it
Mhm.
takes,
Yeah,
you
we'll
know, I
talk about
mean,
that. That's so good.
just and don't whatever you do not put your spouse or your child down in front of anybody
Right.
else, right? You want to if it's you want to make sure you're talking to them with love.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. We'll get into some of
Yeah.
that as well. Empathize and listen through the speaker's experience. Kind
Right.
of put yourself in their
Right.
chairs. What are they feeling? What are they,
Right.
what's going on with inside them?
Mhm.
So
And
it's
that,
really important to connect to that
and it's hard,
emotionally.
yeah, and it's hard for people to be empathetic with people. It's a learned skill,
Yeah.
right? Especially if they've had nobody showing them empathy throughout their life,
Yeah.
right? So it's a learned skill.
Yeah. And then being truthful and sticking to
Ab-
facts,
Absolutely.
and avoid
Never,
assumptions. They all kind of tie together.
yeah, avoid assumptions, the words never, always, all those, don't use those words because they're not, a lot of times they're not even truth,
No,
right? They're not even
it
true.
may feel that way,
Right.
but you have to ask yourself, are they really true?
Are they really true?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly, right.
So let's get into a couple of the areas here we just mentioned on those tips. Active listening, you started on that one, making eye contact, avoid distractions when someone's speaking.
Yeah, exactly.
Showing empathy, acknowledge their feelings and perspectives
Yeah.
without
Without
judgment.
judgment, without judgment.
Yeah, let them know that, gosh, that had to have been hard to
Yes.
say that, and I appreciate you for being open and honest with me about that.
Never, you do not have the right to ever take anybody's feelings away from them.
Yeah, no, you wanna
The
acknowledge the
feelings are
feelings.
feelings, right? And that's all they are, is
Yeah.
feelings.
They don't mean that they're your feelings or the other person, so
Exactly.
allow them to have them.
No, you shouldn't feel that way. Excuse me? What do
Yeah.
you mean I shouldn't feel that way?
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
it's good.
you know,
But I think I love this one too, and this one's been very helpful, is reflect and clarify. Repeat back what you've heard to
yeah,
ensure your understanding. We talk about mirroring the conversation. Sometimes it's very difficult to do, but it might be as simple as, okay, so what I heard you say was blah, blah, blah. Am I correct in my thinking? Am I correct in what I understood?
correct.
And it allows for that person to say, yes, absolutely. And then they feel validated and heard. Or if not, it gives them an opportunity to redirect what they were
To what they
saying.
were saying.
Yeah.
And part of the issue is this, when we talk about active listening, is that, most people, not all, but most
Yeah.
people, when they start this conversation, they listen maybe the first or second sentence,
Mhm.
right? And then they start making assumptions,
Yeah.
and then what they're doing is they're not hearing anything else,
Mm.
but they're making assumptions, or they're coming up with solutions based on the assumptions they made in the
Yep.
first one or two sentences. And you just can't do that.
And
I mean,
we miss the
yeah,
whole
exactly.
purpose of the
Right.
conversation
Yeah,
at that
anything
point.
after that first or second sentence is wah, 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 wah,
Yeah.
wah, right?
No, we
I
don't
mean,
get it all.
you
So
don't get it all, so.
yeah. The other one that I love too, and this is the second one, is having open and honest dialogue.
Yes,
So we have to be able to be transparent with our thoughts
yeah,
and our feelings, and we
yes.
have to be able to speak those openly and honestly. Um,
It's a really good point because, pretty much everybody that we coach, they've lost their voice somewhere along their
mhm,
life, usually in their teenage years, and they don't know how to. They're afraid to express their feelings. They're afraid to be vulnerable. They're afraid to be transparent because of things that were told or things that happened to them
yeah,
in their childhood, teenage, young adult years, right?
mhm,
So they don't know how to express these things,
yeah,
and so we have to help them become transparent, um, to let them share their thoughts. Because, oh, I shared how I felt and what I was thinking, and my partner just shut me down, and it's just like when I was a kid. It's like, so why would I say anything?
right.
And we
So what
don't
we
want
want
to
to
do
do
that.
is, yeah, what we want to do is we want to acknowledge, gosh, thank you for sharing that.
Yes. Yeah.
That had to have been hard, and
Yep.
I appreciate you being open and honest
Yeah.
with me. Invite them back into
Right.
that conversation versus pushing them
Right.
away.
Exactly.
This one being respectful, avoid the blaming and criticizing,
Yes.
using the I statements to express feelings. This was one that was really huge for us. I'll
Yeah.
never forget when Deborah sat us down and taught us the I statements.
Exactly.
And then, of course, it carries over into recovery. So
Yeah.
it made it a little easier for us to continue with that. But we started the I statement
Right.
even prior to recovery, is, expressing it as, when this happens, I feel this way.
Right.
It's not you did this and
Right.
I felt this way. It's when this happened, I felt this way.
Again, nobody has the power to make you feel anything
Mhm.
you don't want to feel, say anything you don't want to say, do anything you don't want to do. They're not God,
Yeah.
right? And so usually when that comes up, it's not that the person's making you anything.
No.
It's that there was
You have a choice.
you have a choice,
Yeah.
but it's usually those feelings that you want to blame the other person for making you feel that way. It's based on past unresolved childhood traumas, which
Old
result
wounds.
old wounds, which
Yep.
is becomes a trigger.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good. And then encourage expression, create a safe environment where everyone feels comfortable to speak up.
Absolutely, yes.
It's especially in the home. The home is supposed to be the safest place, and not always is it the safe place for everybody. But we want to create a safe environment so that everybody is comfortable speaking up.
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
and then you mentioned this early on, and I love this. I wish some of these tools we had growing up,
Yeah.
I say growing up,
When we
raising
had
our children, yeah.
yeah,
Regular family meetings,
right.
this doesn't have to be, every week. It could be once a month.
Yeah,
Just, set a
absolutely.
schedule where you hold a regular family meeting to discuss issues, plan out activities for the month, share updates, set up family game nights,
Right.
things like that. It brings everybody together. It gives everybody an opportunity to voice
Yeah.
their thoughts, how they're doing, check-ins, what they
Check
want to
in.
do.
Yeah, and also, talk out any situations that might be happening within
Mhm.
the home that is
Right.
bothering either your child or your spouse, but be allowed to freely and openly, without fear of being shamed or shut down, talk about those feelings,
Yeah.
whatever they are,
And the
right?
best way to do that is to get everyone involved.
Get everybody
Get
involved.
everybody
Right,
gets a chance to
exactly.
speak and
Right.
contribute to the family
It,
meeting.
the thing that's important to remember is this, especially with your children, right?
Yeah.
Is that you could have 4 children in the
Mhm.
house, right? And just because Bobby sees things one way
Mhm.
doesn't mean Jill will see the same thing,
Right.
or that John will see the same thing, or that Sarah will see the same thing.
So important to be open to everybody's
Right.
perception of
And
what they're feeling and what's going on in their home.
it, probably that's the hardest thing as a parent,
Mhm.
because it's like, man, he feels this, she feels that, he feels that, she feels that. Oh, what do I do? We have to learn to adapt to each one of our children,
Yeah.
and that's hard.
Yeah, no, it is hard. And the one thing that's helpful to keep things flowing is to follow an agenda. Keep the
Yes.
meeting focused and productive.
Right, exactly.
Maybe to create your agenda as parents, we come up with the things that we want to talk
Right.
about and ask each of the kids to input one item that they would like on the agenda
Right.
to discuss. So you're bringing them in as a unit.
And I think also, these family meetings, they should open with prayer,
Mhm.
and then
Oh, yeah.
end with prayer as well,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
It seals
we
things,
want,
yes.
yeah, we want to invite God into these conversations,
So good.
and remember that our power has our tongue has the power of life or death.
Right.
So we want to speak nothing but life into the rest of our family
Yeah.
members, whether it's a child or whether it's your spouse.
Yeah. And we talk about these family meetings. These can be done even with young children.
Yes.
I mean, if they're capable of speaking, have them
Yeah.
have an opportunity to speak,
Yeah.
bring them in.
Absolutely.
And if they're not speaking, bring them in, put them in the high chair, let them be part of the meeting, let them
Absolutely.
learn what it looks
Right.
like to have these family meetings. So
Exactly.
yeah, it's good. And then the next one we have is conflict resolution. This is always a challenge. I don't like conflict, so anytime we would have a conversation, I always thought it was going to be conflict. That was just what I felt. So to avoid the whole conflict resolution, you want to stay calm and approach conflicts in a calm demeanor. And
Yeah.
that is not always easy, but it's so valuable when we can get to a place where we can have healthy conflict resolution.
Kathy works really hard on this,
Mhm.
right?
I
And
don't like it.
no, she doesn't. And what happens I'm gonna just say it because people need to know, is what happens when Kathy gets a conflict or doesn't want to be involved in something, she runs like a 12-year-old
I'm
girl.
a
I
runner.
quit.
I'm a
I
runner.
quit. I'm done.
I'm
You
sure there
busy.
are runners out
Yeah.
there. I'm not alone, I know that.
And it's just, Kathy, you're not that 12-year-old girl
Yeah,
anymore, and this isn't personal, right?
yeah, I have to remember that
But she's a
it's
lot
okay.
better than she used to be,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So a lot better.
But here's the key to
But
conflict
you didn't run when I had the affair.
No, I
You
didn't. I
fought.
fought,
You
yeah,
ran for a little bit, which you had a right to do.
yeah,
I'll never take that away
yeah,
from you. But then you fought, and you fought like
right.
hell.
But here's what I have found, and this is the next one, that is so key for conflict resolution is address the issues early on.
Yes.
Don't let small
That
problems escalate into bigger conflicts.
no.
That can be still me, but I found that if I can address something the minute I'm feeling it, my body tells me, my mind tells me, my chest, my heart, my stomach, something's bothering me, I need to talk about it right then
Right.
and there. I can't ignore it. I have to be able to address it right then so it doesn't form into a resentment, so it doesn't go into a bigger conflict. Because 9 out of 10 times, if I don't address something early, it'll build and build and
Yes.
build. And it might be 2 weeks later, all of a sudden I'm upset of something that happened 2 weeks ago.
Again, that comes from losing our voice, you
Mhm.
know, and I know I talk a lot about losing our voice when we're children, teenagers, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But also, it can happen within the
Oh,
marriage.
yeah.
Um,
That was me.
it happened to Kathy, and
I was chatty Cathy my entire
oh
life,
yeah,
and
yeah,
yet I shut
absolutely.
down.
She shut down,
Yeah.
and so that's again due to my piss poor behavior
But I was
at
also
times.
avoiding the
She was
conflicts too.
avoiding the
Yeah.
conflicts as well.
Yeah.
So it can happen in a marriage. You can
Yeah.
marry somebody that's perfectly capable of speaking their mind, so on and so forth, and you get somebody that's got a lot of wounds like I had. Eventually, those wounds will come out, and
It breaks down
it breaks down
communication altogether.
communication.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then, in healthy conflict is seeking compromise,
Yeah,
finding
absolutely.
solutions that satisfies
Right.
everyone's needs.
Right.
And sometimes it might not even be my needs that are satisfied, but
Right.
the needs of my children or the needs of you, for you
Exactly.
as my
Yeah.
husband is really
It's
important.
okay. It's okay to agree to disagree,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
it doesn't mean that the other person's wrong or that they're right or that you're wrong or that you're right. It's just that two different opinions. And it's a lot of times, if you can walk away from the conversation with that, well, that's her opinion. This is mine. I'd say 9 out of 10 times when you do that, you're going to come up with something. You
yeah.
know what? Maybe what she's saying or he's saying isn't all that bad.
And I'll even go to the place of asking myself, "Is it really that
Yeah,
important?"
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Is how I'm feeling that important, or am I
Right.
just
Right.
overzealous of the
Exactly.
situation? So this one I love, especially in the home, is positive reinforcement. And that not only with our kids, but with our spouses or our significant
Yes.
others. You acknowledge the efforts, recognize and praise the behavior and achievements.
Right.
There's times I'll even look at you and I'm like, gosh, you're so different than you were before. The
Yeah.
way that you
Yeah.
communicate, or I'm learning so much from you.
Right.
You always say, "Where'd you learn that from?"
Yeah.
And so it's really important that we give positive reinforcement.
Absolutely.
Showing appreciation,
Uh,
expressing gratitude for each other's contributions.
I Kathy makes dinner. Since she retired, I haven't cooked hardly any dinners.
You have it.
I mean, I used to do it all the time, and I didn't expect anything in return. But since she's moved to Arizona, she's retired and got settled in. She cooks dinner pretty much every night, and whether it's something simple, just a salad or something, I always tell her at the end
Yeah.
of the night, after I'm done, "Thanks for dinner, babe."
Mhm.
And I will say this, in all honesty, in 40 years of our marriage, almost 41, there's not been one bad meal that my wife has prepared
My
for me.
mama taught me well.
But also, I'm just as equally as good at
Yes,
cooking.
you are good. You are.
But
Yeah,
Kathy loves cook, and I'm
I
not going
enjoy
to take
it.
that away from
I
her. I
enjoy
always
it.
ask her if she needs help,
Yeah.
but she
No,
always says no.
I do. And I think, if we even the small contributions are
Yes.
important, and
Yeah.
that's what we've got to look at is, what is everybody contribute? We all have gifts, and that's
Yes.
your children have gifts. Make sure you're acknowledging those within them. I think
Right.
that's what's really important. And then my biggest favorite one is to celebrate together. Take time to celebrate milestones and special moments as a family.
Absolutely.
It's just Randy and I in our home now. Our
Right.
kids each have their families going on. But we do take time, even though we're all kind of spread out, that we do try to get together every
Yes.
few months. Um, we've got that coming up in August where the California kids are coming to the Arizona side, and we're going to sit down and we're going to celebrate
Right.
birthdays. We're going to
Birthdays,
celebrate
absolutely,
just
yeah.
being together.
Right.
And so it's really important. And when we do that, we have game night and we
Right.
have fun and we
Yeah.
enjoy that time together.
Yeah.
So it's so important. That we take time to celebrate those special moments in life.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have to,
yeah.
Uh,
And then our next one is, model good communication, which is what we're talking about.
yeah,
Lead by example.
man, as parents, right? Especially as parents, our children are watching us and learning from us, right?
Mhm.
And so I will say again, pretty much every one of our clients that we coach, they never had, and that's what we ask. Who shows you how to have a good conversation? Who taught you that? Nobody. I
Mm.
go, well, yeah. So how do you expect to know how to model good communication
Yeah.
to each other when it was never modeled to you? So that's where we have a choice in today's world as adults, right? As adults, that are we going to continue the toxic behavior that we grew up in, or are we going to change and cut off this generational curse starting now? It's not easy. I mean, you have to have mentors to help you along the path.
And it takes consistency. Oh, and that's
Absolutely.
the next one too, is being
Yeah,
consistent.
you
You
have to
have to
be.
be consistent in your approach to communication.
It-
How you communicate in the home has to be the same way you communicate outside the home. You have to be consistent. You can't change a habit by doing it one time. It's
No,
gotta be repeated over and
no.
over and over
You,
again.
you practice these principles in all your affairs,
Yeah.
everywhere you go. We're humans, we're going to make mistakes, but for the most part, 99.9% of the time, you want to be practicing the principles
Yeah.
in all of our in all of your affairs.
Yeah.
Um,
And it also we talk about that with our children, teaching and guiding our children
right,
into those healthy communication skills by practice and guidance. So
right,
we be the example, we practice it, we have these sit down meetings with the family, let them be open and let them have that dialogue, let
right,
them have that
right,
voice to
right.
express their
But
feelings.
going back to being the consistent too, here's what happens a lot is, people will start seeing us. There's one couple in particular, or recovery. People get into recovery and they might not drink for 6 months. And before that, their house was chaos.
Yeah.
Right. And things aren't getting better in the home front. Right. And well, I quit drinking. What else am I supposed to do? Well, yeah, you quit drinking, but your wife, you're still creating chaos in your home.
Mhm.
You treat your wife like garbage, right? You're not kind to your kids. So you, you might have done that maybe for a month, and then you didn't see any change in your family, so you went right
You
back to your
stop.
old
Yeah.
behavior. You can't do that.
No.
It's like I think when I went to one of my mentors, because Cathy's behavior I was seeing before she started following me really good. And he said to me this, Randy, how long did she put up with your BS
Mhm.
before you got help? I
Yep.
said, oh man, that hurts. So we have to look at it that way
Yeah,
too.
we have to be
Is
consistent.
that our partners in life, our spouses, our children, they put up with us for a long time
Mhm.
acting a certain way.
Right.
So it's going to take a consistency in change in behavior and attitude and words over a long period of time.
Yeah, you can't expect to
No,
change,
no,
think about how old am I and just take 10 years off of that. You can't change that many years overnight.
you're right.
It's gotta be it took you that many years to get the bad
Right.
behavior. It's gonna take time to unwind it,
Absolutely.
consistency.
And
So,
you got to stay consistent
yep.
in the recovery journey because, like they say, more will be revealed.
And this is your communication has to be consistent.
It's
Is what we're talking
extremely
about.
important.
Yeah.
Can't.
Yeah. And then I love this one too, is respecting the individual differences, acknowledge uniqueness. Because if we recognize and respect each other's families' individuality,
Right.
we're allowing them to be who God's created them to be.
Exactly.
If we start trying to change them or take something away from them, we're stealing from them,
Right.
essentially. We're not allowing them to be who God's created them to
Right.
be.
Exactly.
We want to adapt our approach, tailor your communication style to suit the different personalities and needs. And I'll tell you, this was huge for me in my professional life, because if you're working with people that respond differently than others, I can't just say, I want you to do this and get it done. I had to be able to communicate in a way that each individual understood what the task was. And then they had to develop the way that they got it done. So
Yes.
it's making sure you understand the needs and how to approach the needs so that communication is effective. I
Exactly.
can't say the same thing to each of my kids. Each of them are going to respond differently to
Exactly.
that. So I have to be able to meet their needs, even as adults,
Right.
and my grandkids now as well.
And the thing too is that um, they they might not do things exactly how you like, right?
Mhm.
But that's okay as long as it's getting done properly.
Right.
because again, we're all unique. We all have things,
Yep.
we do things differently, as
Yeah.
long as the outcome is like, is how it's supposed to be. Now,
Right.
you can guide your children and say, hey, especially when they're young, we know you're gonna develop your own way of doing this, but why don't you look at it this way, try it this way, so on and so
Right.
forth. And I wanna go back to uniqueness just for 1 second, because within the marriage, right? I married Cathy for a reason, I mean, I first met her, she has, I think it's in this next book coming up there. She had a peace and serenity of spirit about her, that far outweighed her. She had natural beauty as well. That's what
Right.
attracted me to her, right? And then, what happened is I got caught up in the ways of the world, and my flesh took over, and her uniqueness kind of slipped out of my mind. And I tried to change her and make her something she wasn't. She was already what I wanted,
Mhm.
right? What I always desired in my life. But for some reason, her uniqueness wore off, and I wanted to make her something different. So we
Yeah.
got to be really careful with that. It's especially in a marriage. We married, or we met our partner, right? And we fell in love with them, and we married them because something in them we love deeply
Right.
about them.
And I just want to add to that, and that's something we've talked about for a long time is taking that uniqueness away.
Right.
And it's not just taking it away by actions, it's by words.
Yeah,
And, we're
absolutely.
talking about communication. So
Yes.
how you started to communicate
Right.
to me is what took that away.
Right.
It wasn't necessarily an action per se,
Right,
although
right,
words are
exactly,
actions,
yeah.
but the words, it's
It
that
was the
power of the
words,
tongue
yes,
that took that
absolutely.
away. So,
Right. And
um,
that was as a result of my stepfather, the way
oh
he
yeah, what you
treated,
learned.
yeah, the way I was modeled,
Yeah,
watching
what
my
was modeled to
stepfather.
you.
Yeah,
So, and talking about respecting individual differences, I love this one too, is being able to support personal growth.
right.
Encourage each of your family members, your children, to pursue their interests and goals. And that's hard, especially if you've had a childhood where, you didn't get all that support.
Right,
You want to give everything. You kind of live vicariously through your children, which is okay to a certain degree. But if you overstep that boundary, then that's going to break down their personal goals and their personal interests. And we want them to pursue them. We
right.
want to encourage them in whatever they choose to do with
Exactly.
our support.
And it's important. I mean, they might not wanna do the sport you want them to do,
Mhm.
right? So let them explore the sport that they wanna do, but the deal is you tell them that, "Okay, um, we're gonna go ahead and sign you up, but you cannot quit
Yeah,
at
that was our
all.
rule.
Yeah, you have to finish the
Yeah.
whole season. Then at the end of the season, whatever you wanna do, that's fine. But you're there to support them and let them find what they really enjoy in life,
Yeah.
not what you want them to enjoy, not what you enjoy, right? But what they enjoy."
Well, I kind of giggled thinking about this because Alyssa had two older brothers who were very much involved in their soccer and their baseball. And she was the youngest, and her birthday was later in the year. So it took her a whole extra year before she could start doing sports. I think they can do them earlier nowadays.
Yeah,
But she did every sport, and we encouraged it
yeah,
all. She had
absolutely.
basketball, volleyball, lacrosse, softball. I think she played soccer once. I don't know, but she
Oh,
just did
yeah,
color guard. She did everything, but I think it gave her that well-roundedness that she has as a person
right,
and as a human being
right,
because she was able to pursue those and we encouraged her.
exactly.
So, you never know where that's going to lead. And
Hey,
even though she wasn't the biggest athlete,
well, she
she
played lacrosse too.
yeah,
Yeah,
lacrosse too.
yeah.
Even though she wasn't like the best athlete out there, she got to be a good human being as a result of her
The
development in sports and people,
the
even though
important
she's an
thing,
introvert.
team sports are really important. When we started coaching the kids, Garrett in baseball, he was the first one. And the guy that mentored us into how we coach these kids is that we have to remember that any kind of team sport, using baseball, for example, uh, 2/3 of the time you're going to be a failure, so to speak, right? So if you can be a success 1/3 of the time, you're going to be a multimillionaire. But more important than that, what the team sports teach you is excellent teamwork.
Mhm.
And I'm just going to
And
use
that's huge in
it's
communication.
right. And you look at Garrett, right? And all of our kids, right? Their work ethics are all phenomenal,
Right.
right? And it's the communication. the teamwork that they learn. So it doesn't matter if it's baseball, football, soccer, volleyball, lacrosse, basketball. I mean, it
It
could
all
swimming,
it
you know,
shapes
whatever.
them.
It shapes them for their future.
Right, and I think that's huge is because of the sports, our kids learn different communication skills
Yes,
because they were around so many different
yes,
people. And
exactly.
so that is also very healthy, beneficial way of learning communication skills or non-communication skills as well,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
in some cases, there's non-communication that's important as well, just
It
as
could be
important.
it could be even more brutal.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So, and then as we close this out, we're talking about communication is seeking outside help when
Yeah.
needed. We've had to do it.
Yeah, we
And
did it for several years.
we did it
yes.
for many, many years, and we get the benefit and the blessing of being able to help others as well. So,
Exactly.
consider family counseling or therapy if communication issues persist. We are here to help you with that at Heal and
Absolutely.
Restore Counseling.
Right, absolutely.
Educational resources, using books, workshops, online resources to improve communication skills. Our two books that are out right now, both of them cover communication.
Right,
And then community support is so important. Engage with the community groups or support networks for additional guidance and support. I have always found that if I'm around like-minded people that are on the same journey that I'm on, I am such a better person
right,
because I show up better, I communicate better, I want to be better.
right.
So those things are so, so important.
Yeah, so you let them say birds of a feather flock together, and,
Hmm.
you used to hear that as a kid growing up, say, "Yeah, sure, whatever, you don't know what you're talking about, mom,
Yeah,
dad."
no.
No, they very much know what they're talking
Yeah,
about, I
yeah.
mean
So, improving communication in the home takes time and effort,
Yep, absolutely,
but the benefits of a more connected and understanding family are well worth it.
absolutely.
And I'm grateful for where we are today. Like I said, I wish some of these tools I had when our children were growing up, but I still say it's never too late to learn and it's never too late to teach even our adult children
Right.
or our grandchildren. And that's where we are in life today.
In communication affects so much of our life. I
Yeah.
mean, let's just go to a spousal situation, the intimacy issues, right?
Yeah.
Um, First of all, intimacy, true intimacy starts outside the bedroom walls,
Right.
right? So how are you communicating with your spouse throughout the day? Verbal and nonverbal, right? I
Mhm.
mean, uh, let's go around. Kathy likes her butts, a little tap
I
on her
like for
butt.
it. Do you
Well,
like
I
it?
like it too, but I mean, Kathy,
I don't
if
complain.
Kathy didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
But
no.
a little kiss on the forehead, holding hands, just sitting with each other and not have to worry about
Yeah,
having
no.
long conversations. That's and learn to be vulnerable with each other
Mhm.
is where the true intimacy comes. And then can you also communicate about your sexual pleasures?
Yeah.
I mean, that's important,
Yeah, that's
I
true.
mean, Kathy and I have had a lot of conversations and so I've learned to understand Kathy where she's coming from and it's helped a lot. So there's a lot of areas that communication I don't think we think about all the areas of
No.
communication affects in our relationships.
God gave us a mouth, he gave us a tongue. It's how we're using it that is
Exactly.
important.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, at work, can you communicate with your boss your grievances
Mhm.
without worried about getting fired?
Right,
Right?
right.
I mean, that's a big issue
Yeah,
anymore today.
yeah.
So,
Nope, communication is key to living life to its fullest
yeah,
and having, the benefit of the people in your life as well.
absolutely.
So,
So,
it's good. It's a lot. This is
yeah,
a lot. We could keep going, but I think I
yeah,
think we got
yeah.
most of it
I
out
keep
there.
on threatening to have that communication workshop again. So
Okay,
I
yeah.
think it's getting time to put
We'll
it
we'll get
together.
we'll get it together.
Yeah. So,
So,
anyways, hope you guys all enjoyed and at least take one little tidbit away from
yeah,
this.
yeah.
If that's all you get, then we've done our job. So if you got more than that, we've exceeded.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I'll just put a, reminder out there to check out our website,
Yes, absolutely.
healingrestorecounseling.com.
Right.
And the reason that I invite you there is that you'll find information on blogs, helpful blogs. You'll find information on our books there. You can also sign up for that free, no cost coaching consultation if you're looking for some help in
Yes,
relationship help, trauma
absolutely.
help, things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're there for you. So, um, well, is that it, Mrs.
That's
Boyd?
it. I think we got it all
You think we
covered.
got all covered this
Yes.
week? All right, so we will see you on our next episode. Until then, remember, if nobody tells you they love you today, Randy does.
Cathy
But
does.
more importantly, God does. Be blessed, everybody. Have a fabulous week. We will see you next week.
See you later.